So awesome to be able to be with you guys. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it. And Pastor Doug, longtime friend, partner in so many areas of ministry. But it's so awesome to be able to be with you guys today. And a little bit about me. I'm from Southern California. I've been married for 33 years to a beautiful Mexican woman. And, oh no, she's hot. And she doesn't speak English, but that helps us get along. We have two amazing children, and then we have this third one. No, I'm totally playing. Can you imagine? And then we have two granddaughters, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Any grandparents we have here? Come on. It's the best thing on the planet, isn't it? Yeah. Grandparenting, it's God's gift to you for you not killing your own kid. That's really what it is. And I was holding my granddaughter a while back, and my adult son says to me, "Dad, it's like you love her more." I said, "No, it's not like I do. I do. You had a good run. It's over for you." Hey, I want to be able to talk to you guys just a little bit. I want to minister to you, and then as Pastor Doug referred to, I want to talk to you about the privilege and honor we have today of helping to rescue churches across America. Right now, America is closing 2,000 churches for every 1,000 that open. Imagine more churches dying and more lighthouses going out. We see America and some of the rules they pass and some of the legislation, and we're like, man, this place is crazy. If we don't keep lighthouses on, we're going to lose this battle. And so Pastor Doug and myself got together 3.5 years ago with a bunch of other pastors, and we started a movement that has gone nationwide and now worldwide, and I'll tell you more about it a little bit later, but it's all about every one of us today having the opportunity to rescue churches that are dying, bring them back to health so they can be a lighthouse in their community. Because I know Doug, he doesn't just care about Rush City Church, he cares about the church. And that's what we care about. So, hey, if you got a Bible, go to John chapter 5. We're going to jump in it. I'm going to minister to you for a few minutes and then turn the corner right at the end. If you don't have a Bible, next time at a hotel, get one. They're free. I steal them, and then I just put them on eBay. Here, let me give you a little bit of what we're going to be talking about. There's something called life before the wall. Put it on the screen for me. Everybody say life before the wall. Okay, this is life before the wall. This is you. Okay? No, just stay with me. Look how happy you are. This is you. Everything's good. Life's good. Relationships are good. You're making a little bit of money. You know, you're out of debt. Whatever. I don't know. Life is good. Life before the wall. But then what happens to all of us, including me, it happens many times in our life, we have now what we call life inside of the wall. Notice he's not happy. This is us, okay? Now, we get stuck in a wall. It's like, man, I'm stuck in debt and I can't seem to get out. I'm addicted to something and I can't seem to get out. I'm angry and bitter at that person that hurt me 2 years ago, 15 years ago, or longer, and I can't seem to get out. I'm in a relationship. I can't seem to get out. I'm still bitter. I thought I'd be farther along in life than I am right now. Why am I not there? And I can't seem to get out. And here's the bottom line. You really only have two choices. You either, this is it. You have two choices today. Including me. We're all in this together. You either stay in the wall or get to the other side of the wall. Watch this, because there's no such thing as life before the wall anymore. That's gone. There's no third option. You either walk out and stay in the wall. That's an option. I can stay in the wall and continue to be stuck, and yeah, that's an option. Or you can get to the other side of the wall. One day, Jesus was walking through into a party area. It was in Jerusalem. It was a Holy Day festival, they call it. There's a big party going on. Everybody's having a good time. I've been there to this thing. It's big old gates, and you walk in. And on the right side, I've actually been there. On the right side is a pool of Bethesda, which means the pool of mercy. Okay, now this pool of Bethesda was probably twice the size of the stage. It wasn't huge, and it was water, and when the angel would come and stir up the water, people would get in it, and it would heal them. Now, watch this. There were 5 covered porches. Under the 5 covered porches, people would lay under the porch because it was the Israel sun was really hot. And so they would wait for the water to stir. They'd make their way over. The sick people try to get in the water. If they made it in time, great. If not, they go back home, go to bed, wake up, go lay under the porch, and do it all over again. Day after day, they would try this. Now, this is where we pick up the story in John chapter 5. Here we go, verse 1. Afterward, Jesus returned to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish holy days. We talked about that. Inside the city gate or inside the city near the sheep gate, was the pool of Bethesda with 5 covered porches. Remember we talked about that? People stayed under there to avoid the sun. Crowds of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, lay on the porches. One of the men lying there had been sick for how long? 38 years. Now, I want you to think about this. He'd been sick. Now, stay with me. If you don't, you got to get this part. He's been sick for 38 years. 38 years, meaning over 13,000 days. He would wake up in the morning, lay under the porch, wait for the water to stir, try to get there in time. If he didn't make it, he would do it all over again. Look, I got to tell you, man, after 4 or 5 times, I'd come up with a different strategy. I'd be laying in the pool with a raft, or something. Push other people out of the way, whatever. Look, man, because you got to be thinking, dude, what you're doing isn't working. You lay under the porch, you wait for the water to stir, you don't get there in time, you do it again 13,000 times. Your strategy ain't working. Here's what I think sometimes. I think that we get stuck. He's stuck in the wall, in my opinion. I think we get stuck in the wall and we try it and it doesn't seem to work to get out, and then we try it again. And then 1 week goes by and a month goes by and a year goes by and 3 years go by and 8 years go by and we're still angry, we're still in debt, we're still addicted, we're still not where we want to be in life. I'm just going to throw this out to you. Maybe your strategy ain't working. Maybe, because his strategy ain't working. I mean, we look at it, we laugh at it and go, what are you thinking, dude? You ever thought that maybe we're that guy? That we get stuck inside of the wall and it's like, why aren't you getting out? We're still there because the strategy ain't working. And here's the bottom line. Put it up there for me if you could. You can't change your future until you disrupt your present. So important. Okay? You can't change the future until you're willing to disrupt the current present that you're in. Something's got to change. Something's got to be different. You got to do something different in order for something different to happen. So the first thing is this. What do you need to do? Maybe you need counseling. Maybe you need help in your finances. Maybe you need to go back to school. Maybe you need to register for college. Maybe you need to do something. But for some reason, you're stuck in the wall, and we all get there. And the only way to get out and start moving forward is something in your present has to change. You can't, like this guy, 13,000 times. Look, dude, you got to try something different, man. Same thing with us. Like, look, man, you got to try something different because what you're doing isn't working. You got to try something different. I remember I've written several books. One of the books that I wrote was called Quit Church. A couple books back. A few years ago, I wrote a book called Quit Church with a subtitle, Because Your Life Would Be Better If You Did. Now, let me tell you something. When you write a book called Quit Church, people have something to say about it. And it's not about quitting church. It's about quitting your approach to church. Like some of us, it's a spiritual checklist. Went to church. Okay, God bless me. Versus going all in with God. And the whole premise of the book is if you go all in, God will go all out. That's the whole premise of the book. So it's not, and it's about getting to the other side, not staying in the wall. Long story short, book did really well. Best book in the sense of how well it did that I ever wrote. I wrote 7 books. This book went #1 on Reddit, Amazon. It was on Fox News and Friends. Fox News did an article on it on their online, and we had 100,000 emails in an hour. And all the people just encouraging me and loving me. No, I'm sorry. They weren't. They were like, what kind of book is Quit Church? Whatever. But they didn't, if they read the book, they'd get the idea. Long story short, I'm on a shuttle. I get off the plane in Dallas, Texas, I think it was. I get on this hotel shuttle, and I'm sitting right behind these 2 ladies. I have no idea who they are, never met them, but I could tell they were Christian. I'm sitting behind, just minding my own business, returning emails and, texting or whatever. It's 10 o'clock at night. These 2 ladies start talking. One of them says to the other, hey, 10 o'clock at night. We're on this shuttle. I don't know who they are. One says to the other, hey, man, have you heard of this book? And the other lady sitting there next to her says, what book? They're friends. And she goes, Quit Church. And she holds it up on her phone. I'm sitting behind them, and I go like this. Ooh, that's my book. And she goes, Quit Church? What kind of book is that? Oh, I don't know. Some guy wrote it. What kind of guy? Some guy from California. California, what is he? Oh, and then she says, apparently, he's a pastor. And I quote, the other lady says, he's not a pastor. And I quote, he's an idiot. Telling people to quit church, and then they just go off, and they're like, that's the problem with America, because anybody says that's the problem with America clearly has the answers, and they're just going off, and they got so wound up, Pastor Carl, they turned around and they invited me into the conversation. They're like, can you believe it? And I'm like, what? I'm just back here praying. What's going on? And like I wasn't eavesdropping the whole time. And she said, oh, can you believe it? I said, what? She holds it up, and there's my book. She goes, this book's called Quit Church. And they're just getting all into it and talking to me. They're all, can you believe it? And I go, wow, that's the problem with America. They're going off, and they're all, have you heard of the book? I said, I have heard of it. And here comes the best one. She goes, have you read the book? And I go, I'll give you one even better than that. I wrote it. The lady with the phone goes, that's not true. And I know what she's doing. She's clicking the little button that says author or whatever, and up comes my picture. She puts it up next to my head to compare, and she goes, and she realizes. And here comes the apology. And I love this first line. Had we known you were here, we wouldn't have talked bad about you. Spoken like a true believer. We would have talked behind your back like God intended. So we go inside. We finally get to the hotel, and we're standing in the lobby yakking away, and she's talking to me. We're standing in line. She goes on to tell me, the lady with the phone, she says, hey, she goes, what's the book about, really? And I said, the book's about being stuck in the wall, get to the other side of the wall. It's about going all in with God. And she's all, really? Wow, that's good. And she goes, I left my husband 5 years ago. He was abusing me every day. She goes, I'm very depressed. I'm very discouraged. I feel stuck in a wall, and I can't seem to get out, and I'm in a dead-end job. And I pulled out of the backpack, and I said, here's the book that you mocked. And I wrote my email in there, and I said, email me, and if I can ever help you, let me know. Fast forward 2 years later, I open up my email one day on my laptop, and it says, Dear Pastor Chris, I don't know if you remember us. I'm like, oh, I remember you. Hold on a second. Yeah, I remember you. Long story short, I find out this. I ended up seeing her because she was at a leadership thing she invited me to. It was a group of 25 leaders. It was her leaders. I didn't realize that because 2 years ago, she went into counseling to overcome that bitterness. You know what she did? She disrupted her present. She disrupted her present by going back to school and become a licensed minister. She disrupted her present by opening up a home for men with addiction and women that were being abused. And that 25 people there that night that she invited me to go speak to, they were her leadership team. Isn't that amazing? And I love this. She leans in and tells me there, I love it. She leans in and tells me, she goes, I got down the other side of the wall. That's what she did. She just chose, I'm not going to be stuck anymore. She disrupted her present, which got her to the future. That's what needed to happen in this guy in John 5. And you and I, if there's an ounce of us stuck in the wall, we either stay there or get to the other side. But you got to disrupt your present if you want the future to change. Let me give you the second thing real quick. Here we go. Let's pick it up in verse 6 where we left off. After Jesus saw him, remember the guy there? When Jesus saw him, he knew he had been sick for a long time, and he asked him, hold it right there, would you like to get well? That is a 6-word question. Would you like to get well? That's it. Not deep, not theological. You don't got to look it up in Hebrew, nothing. Would you like to get well? What fascinates me is not the easiness of Jesus' question. It's an easy question. Do you want to get well? Yes or no? I mean, it's an easy question. Not Jesus' question that fascinates me. It's the man's answer that fascinates me. Stay with me, because the man's answer tells me why he's stuck in the wall. Okay, look at what the answer is. And then he says, verse 6, Jesus asks him these questions, and then it says, I can't. What's the second word? I what? Okay, hold on. All I ask you is, do you want to get well? And what's the first thing he says? I can't. Here comes the excuses. I can't, the sick man said, for I have no one to put me in the pool when the water bubbles up. Someone else always gets there ahead of me. Okay, here's what he's saying. Do you want to get well, yes or no? And the man can't even answer a yes or no question. You know why? Because for years he's been telling himself the same excuses. I can't. It's not my fault. It's someone else's fault. It's not my gig. It's someone else's fault. I think you and I do the same thing. Hey, let me tell you why I didn't go to college, because my parents. Let me tell you why I'm so bitter, because my ex. Let me tell you why I'm so angry. Let me tell you why I'm stuck in the wall. Let me tell you why I'm in debt. Well, let me tell you why my life's not where I meant it to be. It ain't my fault. You see, giving excuses gives us this sort of false illusion that it removes responsibility. It does. It's a false illusion. Like, oh, maybe if I make an excuse, I'm not responsible. Look, I don't know why you're in the wall, and I'm not belittling any of it, because I've been there, and I got my scars just like you. But look, man, at some point, you just got to grow up and say, if I'm going to get out of this wall, it's going to be along with me and Jesus going to have to do this thing together. But I got to make a choice. The battle belongs to the Lord, but the fight belongs to you. You got to get to the other side. The battle belongs to the Lord. He's going to help you, but the fight belongs to you. And at some point, you got to get to the other side of that wall and say, I don't want to live here anymore, and stop making the excuses. And we all do that. Here's the thing I would tell you to do. You got to challenge a story you keep telling yourself. Because that's what this guy was doing. He kept telling himself a story over and over. Challenge a story you keep telling yourself, because there's probably some lies in there. You're probably just doing what I do, try to make an excuse to give me the illusion that it removes my responsibility. And we all do it. We're all guilty of it. And because we like not taking responsibility for something. We're all guilty of it. A few years back, I don't speak regularly at one of our campuses anymore, but a few years back I was speaking regularly at one of our campuses, a very large campus, a couple thousand people at that one. And check this out. I'm speaking I'm there at the office on like a Tuesday or Wednesday. My wife texted me and said, hey, on your way home, can you pick up some grocery items? Bread, milk, eggs, whatever. I said, okay. So I stopped by, I pick up the items, 5 or 6 items. I put it on there. The lady rings it up, $25.87. Nowadays that would get you an egg, but one egg, and that's it. But it was just a few years ago, back before there was inflation. And there's 4 or 5 items, and so the $25.87, please. I'm like, okay. I pull out my card, and she goes, oh, you can't type it, you got to swipe it. And I said, okay, whatever. So I swiped the card like that, and it says declined. How many have ever swiped your debit card, and it said declined? Come on. And what do we say? I don't know why. I got so much money, I don't know what. And I did the same thing. I even went as far as saying, I was at the bank this morning. I got money in the bank, lady. I'm not, And you know what she's thinking? Loser, get out of line. So I said, ma'am, you got to do it one more time. Just run it one more time, please. No, you can't, sir. You got to get out of line. No, please, do it one more time. So she resets it. Tick, 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 tick. I slide it again, declined again. Now the manager comes over. They start packing up my groceries. There's a whole scene going on. The line's growing. Some dude in the back like, Pastor Chris, is that you? I'm like, no, it's his twin brother, Craig. And it's all happening here. And the manager's all, sir, you got to get in line. I said, sir, I said, just give me one more chance. Just one more chance, please, one more chance. No. One more chance. I mean, it's a scene. Finally, he says, okay, I'll do it. This is the 3rd time. The manager resets it. I go down here, and I realize as I'm grabbing my card, I haven't been swiping my Chase bank card. I've been swiping my Chevron gas card. So down here, below the little counter, I kind of switch over. I slide my Chase bank. It says approved. And then the manager said, sir, we're so sorry. I said, I hope so. I have a reputation in this town. Now, I would like to tell you that I told them everything. I didn't. I walked right out of that grocery store letting them think it was all their fault. Now, that was just a little grocery item, but I didn't want to take ownership. That's a small thing. How much do we do it with the big things? I don't want to take ownership over that. I'm stuck in the wall, but it ain't my fault. Someone else's fault. Someone else is to blame for all of this. That's what this guy was doing. After 38 years, by the way. That's what this guy was doing. And I think it's what you and I do as well. Now let's go back to the story. Verse 8, Jesus told him, stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. Verse 9, instantly the man was healed, rolled up his sleeping mat, and began walking. Here's what cracks me up about this scripture. Maybe you don't find the humor in it. I just find humor in a lot of things. The man makes up all these excuses, and Jesus doesn't even acknowledge the excuses. The guy goes, well, it's not my fault, it's someone else's fault. Lord, if you were here 4 years ago, you would have saw that just get up and walk. It's like, this is what you're doing, this is what I want you to do, kind of a thing. I wonder if Jesus came down walked in this room in the flesh, and you and him were the only ones in here. Whew, could you imagine that? And he sits down next to you, and you put your arm around him. Why are you stuck in this wall? Why aren't you where I want you to be in life? Jesus, you got to understand all these things. Look, and we give him all our excuses. And then not because he's mad, not because he doesn't care. He just looks at you and says, just get out of the wall, man. Just get out. I'll help you, but you got to get out. I just wonder if it would be that simple for him to just say, just get out. Just make a choice and get out of the wall. See, here's the bottom line. You don't always have the power to control, but you always have the power to surrender. You don't have the power to control everything. I don't know what happened with your mom, your dad, an ex-husband, ex-wife, this, that, there. I don't know. We all got our scars. You don't have the power to control. Control's an illusion anyway. You have the power to surrender at all times. And that's what this guy finally did. Okay, God, I'm in. And he rolls up his mat, and he walks. It was that. 38 years he'd been going to the water, and Jesus comes and goes, just roll up the mat and start walking, would you? Finally, he got out of the wall. I wonder if it would be that simple. Jesus just come and just say, just get out of the wall. It's just time. Just get out of the wall. I want to pray with you real quick. And then, we're not going to have no music or anything. Just pray and just nothing, no, you don't need to set a mood or anything. And then I want to talk to you about how we got stuck in the wall. And I want to just take 3 or 4 minutes and tell you the church in America is stuck in a wall and how you and I today can help get it out of the wall. But would you join me in prayer real quick? Real quick, just real quick. I'd just love for you to respond. How many of you here right now, eyes closed, nobody looking around, respecting the privacy of one another, would just say, man, I feel a little stuck in the wall. Maybe it's because of debt. Maybe it's because of addiction. Maybe it's because of bitterness. Maybe you just thought you'd be farther along in life. Maybe whatever, relationship. I don't know. But you just feel stuck in a wall. I'd just like to pray for you. If that's you, just slip up your hand high in the air and just say, man, that's me, Chris. I feel a little stuck in a wall. Come on, all over this place. Wow. 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 God, you see every single hand that's up right now. God, I pray you would help them to get out of the wall today. Let today be the day that they get out of the wall and start going after all you have for their life. May it be that simple that they just made a choice today and they never looked back. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Now go do whatever you got to do. Disrupt your present. Do something different or it's just going to be the same next week, next month, next year. Disrupt your present. Now, I told you that we get stuck in a wall, and I told you that we had life before the wall. You know what else? I want to just turn the corner, as Pastor Carl mentioned, and as Pastor Doug mentioned about us, this rescue thing. I want to show you that the church, here's the local church, life before the wall. Listen to me, listen, just 3 minutes, and then we're going to show a video. Just listen, intently listen. Life before the wall. In America, in 1950s and 60s, America, check this out, the church population was outgrowing America population. Meaning, more people were becoming Christians than babies were being born. That's amazing. That was life. Everything was unbelievable. But when the 2000 came and the new millennial came, when that came in 2000 to year 2024, here's what's happened. Check this out. Here's problem number 1. Look at that. That's the weekly attendance. In America, the average church in America continues to drop. Used to be in the 130s, then about to 100, down to about 85. Now it's down to 60 people. That's the average church in America. They can't afford to stay open. The yellow line, that's people that never attend church in America. 20 years ago, look how low it was. Look how high it is now. People that don't even go at all, ever. It is growing, and it's going the wrong way in America. It's going the wrong way. And you know what? Let me get ahead of myself. Here we go. Problem number 2. Between 6,000 to 10,000 churches in the U.S. are dying each year, meaning 100 to 200 churches will close this week. Stop and think about that for a moment. Between 100 to 200 churches right here today in September, right here on this Sunday, today they're having their final service. 100 to 200. Oh, and guess what? Next Sunday, another 100 to 200. And then the next Sunday, another 100 to 200. That's how fast we're losing churches in America. And it's a major problem. 84% of churches are plateaued or declining. Here's problem number 3. You've got 46% of pastors under age 45 are considering quitting the ministry. Guess what? 1,500 pastors quit last month alone. That's how many pastors we're losing. We're losing this battle, you guys. Look at this, 76% of pastors admit to feeling inadequate for the job and need help. Meaning 3 out of every 4 pastors that are trying to pastor these churches that are going from 50 to 40 to 30 to 20 and about to close, they're like, 3 out of 4 are saying, we don't even know what to do. 84% are in decline. They don't know what to do. So you know what we did? About 3.5 years ago, me and your pastor, Doug Garasic, we started talking, and we're like, man, this is a tragedy what's happening. And we said, man, we got to do something about it. So we got a bunch of pastors together in Dallas, Texas, me, Doug, and a bunch of other guys. We got together, and we presented all these problems. And it was Doug that came up with the idea, what if we call it church rescue? I remember we were talking to some of the guys. We're like, hey, you guys ever seen bar rescue? And all the pastors are all, no, never. I'm always praying during that show. Like, you liars. And they said, and then Doug was the one that said it. What if we came up with something called church rescue? He's the one that named it. And I said, man, that'd be amazing. And then we just came up with this idea. We started brainstorming. What if, like, okay, you're all pastors, and we took you and we put you on a Zoom call, and we coach you for a whole year for free. We pay the coach. The coach got to get paid, but they don't need to pay for it. And then what happens if we give them free resources? And what happens if that one needs grants, $10,000, $5,000, $8,000 to help keep their church open while we're trying to get it going? We just give that away. And what if during the course of the year of helping them, we send them on a retreat for free? For free. They got to go there. It costs thousands of dollars, but we'll do it for free. All the pastors in the room in Dallas were like, yeah, this is great. How are we going to pay for it? And I thought, I got no idea. But then this is amazing, and me and Doug were like, well, what if we get healthy churches like Rush City Church and many, many others, thousands of others? What if we get healthy churches to help unhealthy churches? That seems like something Jesus would be into. And that's what we started 3.5 years ago. Did you know your pastor is the guy that named it? Your pastor is the co-founder of this whole movement. Your pastor, this was the very first place we did a Rescue Sunday to help raise money to rescue churches. I remember the first month, I was like, Doug, there's 30 in the program. Then about like 6 months later, now we got 90. Last month, we had 302 in the program. 302 churches in America in this program. And it all started right here in Niles, Ohio. You guys started it. And today, we're going to have an opportunity to continue that.